Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my Busch Gardens Williamsburg recreation. Last time I showed off the progress I've made on the Italy section of the park. Today, kind of more of the same. We're still working on Italy. We're not quite done yet, but we've made a lot of significant progress, so I figured it was a good time to show off what we have so far. I mentioned I did want to spruce up Roman Rapids a little bit, adding some extra scenery to it, filling in the little gaps, little details. I don't know how much scenery the actual ride has. I have never ridden this one myself, but I figured this would be a good opportunity to throw in just some random little bits from the Roman scenery pack, little temples and columns and things. One other thing I'm trying to do in this build is pay more attention to the kinds of foliage that I'm using and try to make those bits of foliage kind of match the theming of those parts of the park. So in the Italy area, I'm using a lot of these trees here. I'm not sure exactly what the names of these trees are. Lawson cypress tree, Italian cypress tree. So, you know, Italian cypress tree, it makes sense that you throw that in the Italy area. So a lot of these that are shaped kind of these thin, narrow trees, I feel like they've got that kind of Mediterranean feel to them, alongside some of these willows and, you know, a few other random, like these fir trees. You still have a few of them here and there. It is still Virginia, so you're going to have normal American trees in here. But I kind of wanted to have the foliage match the theming of the parts of the park a little bit to, you know, make this look like Italy. Help sell that theming a little bit better. So far, I think it looks pretty nice. Obviously, a lot more to fill in here. These are just kind of sprinkling some trees around the edges. Anyway, as far as the rest of Italy, I haven't touched a whole lot of the rides in here since we last spoke, but obviously you can see I do have Pantheon constructed and open for business, and man, it is a packed line. People cannot get enough Pantheon. So if you remember from episode 1, I showed off the first draft I had and its stupid little chain lift to get it to just make it through the layout. Here I've got the fully functional triple launch setup, and it works. It was a pain, but I got it to work. Not only does it work, it has block zones, which if you're using a switchback like this, OpenRCT2 normally doesn't like you doing that, but I'm using some secret hacks. Before we get to the secret hacks though, we'll show off how this layout works here. Basically the way it works is that we have boosters here in front of this merge point, and the boosters get the train up to just enough speed that it doesn't crest the top hat. When it goes through the back spike, it hits a few more boosters, and these boosters here behind the merge point are even faster, so they do give the train enough speed that it will make it over the top hat. So a little bit unlike real life, but it is enough to work in RCT without the player noticing. And the way I got it to work with block zones is that there is actually a bunch of hidden track behind this. And actually if I close it real quick, I can probably, build backwards, so you can see there's a hidden piece of track right there. And there's a technique where if you build backwards with invisible pieces, I guess they don't have to be invisible. If you build backwards and then merge it back into itself, here we go, it merges it back in front of that block break, enough to create the full circuit, then that will be enough for the game to make your block breaks work. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, obviously still a lot of work to do on Pantheon. We don't have any station buildings. We don't have any of that infrastructure. I definitely want to put in some custom supports for this. I want to do some tweaks to the track. This style of booster I don't like at all. I want to replace this with some plain track. Maybe put like a fake booster scenery piece over top or something. And probably put some single rail track underneath the whole thing to give it that kind of chunky Intamin looking track style. So that's all coming in the future. But getting the functionality of the ride working, you know, that's the main thing here. The only other caveat, like I said, we don't have the stall here, and this banking, this is normally an outward bank, but you can't do outward banking in RCT, so it's just an inward bank, but you know, it's gonna be good enough. So yeah, pretty happy with the layout, pretty happy with the operations. Can't quite get people through as quickly as Apollo's Chariot does. There's always a huge line for this, and still nobody lined for Apollo's Chariot. Hopefully it's not just because they can't find it, because people are getting on. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Anyway, the other bit I worked on is the thing I mentioned the last time. There's this section here that's got some shops and restaurants. I forget exactly what this part of the park is called, if it has a name. It might just be an extension of the San Marco area. Maybe this whole thing is San Marco. I'm not really sure. But yeah, there's some little restaurants over here and a little theater. There's like some seating here where you can watch a little stage production, I believe. I don't think I planned quite well for this area when I was doing the initial path layout, because I think this feels like it should be a lot bigger because it's a pretty large looking, you know, kind of stadium area. Not a stadium, but it's, if you look at this in street view, it looks pretty big. But if you look at it in like satellite view, it doesn't look as big. I don't know if it's just an illusion the way it was built. But if I make it any bigger, we're gonna run into the water here, and we're not gonna have enough room to connect to the bridge here over into Germany. So not really sure what I'm gonna do about that. I might just leave this the way it is and say, you know, that's just what it's gonna look like. Scale is always so difficult to do in RCT. Some people I see build things really big. They have, you know, a much larger scale than I do. But then if you do that, you're building a lot more stuff. It's gonna take more time. Sometimes it looks better, sometimes it doesn't. It's a trade-off. So I'm never really sure how I want to build things. It's just tricky when you're doing recreations because I'm basing all the scale of things off of how big the roller coasters are, and the scale of roller coasters in the game isn't quite right either. Nothing is ever really consistent. So that's a point where you have to take a lot of creative liberties with things. Maybe deviate from reality a little bit, which I have a hard time doing. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll tweak this in the future. We'll see how it connects to Germany first. I think I'll wait until we get the rest of this park kind of built out a bit more, see how the paths connect first, and I can go back and see if things need to be moved around. But anyway, making great progress. We're almost done with the Italy section at this point. Really happy with the way it looks so far. Obviously some work to finish up with Pantheon here, but we're gonna get to that next, and I'm pretty excited to get that done. But that'll come in the next episode, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.